I'm sorry. That was really cool. My name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're taking a look at a choreography video from 17. It is Getting Closer, or the Korean translation, gotta lean in. It says Umi Cha. So hopefully I pronounced that right. It says Getting Closer, and I'm excited about it. It's a choreography video, and what I have learned is that when it says special video, normally they're not as clean as refined. It's more of a concept, or there's other special circumstances that factor into the overall aesthetic of the clip. But here in a choreography video, it does appear, to my knowledge thus far, that they've refined it, they've been working on it towards a comeback, and so them filming it, it's going to be in one of its best forms, ideal forms for how the choreography is supposed to be represented, and I can't wait to take a look at this. Let's check it out. That's a cool graphic that they did to showcase this. I'm sorry. That was really cool. Oh my god! Yeah! Oh, they hit those bases so effectively. The pull on that groove is so nice. Yeah! I bet they get so tired after this one, but it looks great. Ah! Yeah! Ooh! Yes! Yeah! Ooh! Yes! What just happened? Come on! Oh my god! Yeah! This is a breather right here. Do you see this? They need a breath. Come on. I love it with their one feature, causing them to react to that. Did you hear how heavy they're breathing? Rightfully so. What the crap? That was awesome. Let's go from the freaking top of this. This beginning went so dynamically and texturally hard that it really caught me off guard, because up until this point I had seen probably right now I've seen probably 3 or 4 more conceptual, had some tenseness and breath behind it. I had not seen them really pop off. Does that make sense? Like pop off on a track that has these beat progressions like this, or this intensity, or some of the dynamics they gave are things that I see at a choreography championship, not in a K-pop group. And that's another thing that I really loved about it. Let's get into it. Here we go from the top. There's a chance I may have to slow this down. We will see. I've had to before. Let's see, taking a look at this. How he holds the tension in the beginning, where you have that sound. It's really difficult to hear, but because of how he's moving and how he's engaging with the floor and creating tension, it really helps be able to signal that there's something that's happening, a crescendo that's about to take place. So even if that frequency is a little bit difficult for you to hear, it's still, he does a great job being a visual aid to guide you and interact with the piece before we even can realize that the track has started, which I love. That was nice. Boom, da da. Yes. That right there, that da da da. I wasn't expecting him to hit a triple. Let me see what kind of technique that was. I just kind of feel like they just rebounded. Yeah, so some of them had to actually vibrate, do-do-do, but it appears that because of the position they were in, I would assume they had to use their legs for some of them, depending on their level. Some of them had to use more up their diaphragm to help engage, and some of them had to use not their arms, but more of the upper part of their chest to really get that reverberation across. That was freaking sick. So just look, though, your features naturally in your center. Loving these levels here. These are so freaking cool. I love that he goes down, throws them. They create a nice frame around him, but it's still tense. Molding it through, boom, having the shoulder really clear to see. Next feature, we're directly but lower. Engages by using the arm to showcase we need to see him there. They all reset so quick. It's unrealistically quick, and that's what I love about it. And then having your feature here, this right here, da-da, da-da, da-da. Ew, so gross in the best way possible. Are you kidding me? So good. I also will say this is nearing past the era where I know there was an injury with Vernon, I think. So I think this is like, because we had gone through that era, it was way more chill choreo. And then here they're popping off. Totally, I mean, I know they can do this based on what I've seen already at this point, but it's still so captivating when how they engage in it. I love it. There's this whole little thing, how's he's going over, he's using his hand and his legs, everyone else is using their shoulders and their head, and that's what really helps drop it and make it go lower and lower in their levels. And they all melt through, having your feature crossover, allowing the next diagonal to shoot up, creating a really nice then everybody pops off, boom, into a nice little reverb. Do you see me shaking the camera? Because when I have my hand on the mouse and I do a reverb, look. When I do it, it shakes. So I apologize. This camera shakes a lot because they really popped off. Anyway, but how they're hitting it here, dropping it down, still have your feature. He hits on the elbows, causing them to have a reaction as he moves back. I love that. This right here was sick. The quickness of it was really cool. So what they had to do is they had to prep, and then they had to really use their head, not as a fixed point, but they did have to use it as a sense of leverage to counterbalance, use the hips to hinge to come up. Drop it down. What makes this really cool is the speed and also not utilizing the hands. They end up doing it twice. I really love how they chose to do it here. It's such a surprise. Great way to hit the tonal color on the track. Dropping it down, and then they pop it down, having your center really engage with their full body to help advocate for those who are lower to the ground. Then having one of your people just pop up naturally like it's nothing onto two other people is super fun. Real quick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Great, we can continue. All 13 are here. Love it. They slide through to allow it. So what's nice is you had somebody in front of those two that were kind of here while you had your person standing on top of them. That was nice. He slid away so they were allowed to get up. No problem. That was really great. Having a sense of determination. It was a great way to feature somebody because he was elevated in a higher level. Also, he transitioned forward. Really fun. They're all popping off here. Very beginning, whoa, and they all choose their arms to frame to the outside. Having an internal framing happen on the inside really justifies multi-tier leveling. Love having everybody up, but notice that they're really projecting more out. He's projecting up, and everybody else is projecting out in their respective corners. Look at my pretty sunshine. But they are lower in their level, which makes it really fun. They all fold it, oh goodness. Frame it towards the inside, and then creating more reaction out of the hands. Boom, just how quick This is what makes it so nice. Molded through. Very clear. It's very clear. This is like crew clean. Like choreography cleanliness is a part of your adjudicated score clean, you know, and that's what I don't think I'll ever like truly get used to it whenever I see it. And I think that's what makes it so fun, is that it shouldn't be something that you're just used to, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of crews, and I've analyzed a lot of crews even before starting doing reactions. And that's something that sometimes, like, seeing it in person makes it easier to kind of get used to the saturation of the adrenaline that comes with seeing something in unison. But seeing on a computer, it is easier for me to, you know, just be absorbed in that synchronicity. But also it makes me wonder, like, I wish I could have seen this in person to experience this level of energy and synchronicity with that type of energy. And this is something you really will only get at a concert. It is harder because they have to pace themselves, the catalog, all of that, so many different factors. But here, they're working on this routine. So its best form is gonna be in the form of one of these types of videos. Or honestly, their best run is probably gonna be not even taped. Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's, in the world that I operate in, is most of the best runs that you ever see never make it to the competition stage. It's always in the rehearsal space. So anyway, but just seeing this here, it's just so nice seeing them, having one person being featured out there all transitioning down on that bass pattern is so fun. Hitting it down, boom, 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 boom. So aggressive, very strong in the core. Their core is engaged the entire time. And that's another thing you can notice just by how they're stable throughout every single move that they're doing is very impressive. Bleeding it up, throwing it through, dropping it. Unison's really nice here. I do have a note I want to talk about in this section in particular. I may have to slow it down. No, I actually have it frozen right here. So you have your feature. His face is looking at his palm. Everybody is looking up. And this is how you can tell it's a clean section. But notice, I hate to be the person like this, but look at their hands. Some of them have them overly curved, like this. And some of them have them fully extended, like this. Does that affect the cleanliness? It does. But does it affect it astronomically? No, it doesn't. But I just got lucky because I got it stopped here. But I did notice it, that this little section is not nearly as, it's not refined to the same level of synchronicity that we had seen up until this point. But it is such a small micro thing here. But those little things can make a difference, just like their torsos. Some people really have their torsos framing more towards the corner, you know, but even their shoulders are doing a good job of staying kind of on the same page. He's carrying a more neutral posture. So that would be something, especially if you're doing a sense of controlling, that kind of stuff matters a little bit more than if they're just kind of transitioning. I love that. This tension right here, this groove tension is, I love. Ooh, it goes da-da, she goes, quick. Drawn out, boom, drawn out, and I just love this both times they do it. I think that's so fun. Mold it out, boom, having your center mold to the front, everybody molding out to the outside. Really enjoyable, bringing it down. I love the fact their hair just is so, not poofy, but it's so full where it just flies when they're going for it. I think it's really fun. They drop it down. It's honestly really impressive that they were all able to hit it and drop it down, but also some of them need a little extra help to ensure their balance. That's just a really difficult thing to do. Some of them are kind of touching to make sure they have it, but I think it's pretty impressive for all of them to do it. Back into the bounce, dropping it down, boom, really nice and subtle. Super dope. Yeah, that ba-da-da-da-da, subtle. Whenever you have those subtle moments after they just popped off as much as they did, it helps lead to more captivation because they could pop off more, but they're choosing not to. Love it. Yeah, that was a very boy, like a typical boy group kind of moment that happened there. I've seen it a lot from Treasure, but I don't see it very often from them, so I think it's funny that I got to see that here just now. Melting it through with the hands. Oh, let me see. I think it was just one person to do. Yeah, that was cool. So you could tell exactly who sang that part because he's the only one that moved his foot. That shows that everybody had to be as still as possible in order for that to be showcased. I love the fact that they are on the same page to where I could have the pleasure of seeing that as clearly as I did. Now, next feature coming out He's the only one that peels out. I mean, everybody does from the center column especially, but he's the only one that actually reacts, and everybody else does more of something to complement what he just did, which is really fun. Then having your next feature come up from the front, not really being showcased until after my first feature finishes out with this nuanced, different thing that he did in comparison to everybody else. Super cool. Melts it through. Love that. Ding, dee, 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 dee. Fun, fun, fun. Melt it through this drop down. Boom, boom, boom. Peeling it from the front and draping it around to frame the back. Still frames your feature, but it also allows for that base to be represented without overkilling your dancers, because when they drop, they're allowed a breather in that moment. So I love that. Great choice. They're not quite running, but I love that stability. Pop the neck and then drop back down with the leg, finishing it out. Boom, doon, doon. Do I think this is as refined as it could be? Honestly, I do believe so. Going back on this, though, like when you see this, like I really feel like how he, now notice he is the one singing this, he's not engaging with the torso as much as he should for that type of angle to really showcase on each side because of those who are involved in the back end. That's just a preferential thing. Like I think it's totally fine having the transition. I love that kick over. That was super dope. Then seeing that twist to the outside like we saw earlier, but then instead they did it to frame what was happening in the center out. Brilliant choreographic choice, because they're not learning anything new technically. They're just doing it in a different formation. Even though that move in and of itself, it is very captivating. I love the fact they did it twice. But secondly, it's not, having repeated information can really help your brain on these types of tracks or on these types of routines, because if you're able to take something that is recognizable, but be able to see it done in a different way, has its own level of captivation in and of itself. So I really do love seeing that here. And I love how he turned and he threw his head to really allow them to finish that turn and that drop with the great texture play on the timbre. And the pulsing right here. And some of them, it looks like they have both legs up, so they're not even allowing the rest of the legs. So I bet some of them are kind of whispering over to each other, hey, when do we get to be done with this? It's kind of what he looks like he's doing, and it looks like he's doing that too. I would be doing that too, let's be honest. We're like, oh my God, this sucks. It's literally what I would be saying, because that's hard. Holding it down, still having him in the center, then having the column. This was cool, having this meltdown nice and smooth, and he does a wave, so it really helps solidify that. I love that. And they go, and then having your next person, it kind of feels like a beatboxer. Having your next person right here, he has his hand protruded front, very easy to tell who my feature is. Then he throws it, and then he catches it, they throw their head, and they get caught, and they look, so they switch from a rotation to more staccato in their transition of their head. And I love that so much. This right here, the basket run, really great. It's not technically a run, it's a basket transition, but how they chose to go about it, really great way. I totally give them a pass for that basket run. Coming up with the shoulder right here. I love that, melt it through, da-da-da-da. And they all come up, same thing, but now when you look, boom, doo-doo, hitting those bases, but look, it kind of feels more like a spiral, which I think is really cool, because it's different than the other formations that we've seen. It looks more sporadic, but it's very controlled in nature. So, and this was cool seeing, having one person emerge in the center. He is controlling them to finish them, to get them closer to him. Head comes up, dee-dee-dee-dee. Then back to that da-na-na-na. Melting it out. Melting it through, throw, into the drop, right here. 2, 3, 4, and yeah, so that's just really nice moments here. And they melt it through, right into the moments. The only person who didn't do their hands is the one that was singing. Great choice. Now we're here, we have more of a diagonal happening with your center point and then your back framing it. Really great choice on that. Melting it all the way through, having two people that remain standing, but still being complemented. But notice that I would say it's way more noticeable here because he's looking down. Everybody else is kind of looking front, or they're looking down, but they're not looking at the hand. So he actually gave this a give, like it looks like a giveaway now. I know how to do this transition because I've choreographed it that way, but because he's looking down, that's how you can kind of catch the magic trick. So that would be my one note, is to ensure when you're doing a kind of glide or you're doing this type of transition that looks like you're moving and no one's moving you, don't look at the component that's making you give that illusion, because that's going to affect the illusion all in all. Yeah, so that's my one note. I love this part right here. This part's so cool. They grab and then they slide in. I don't think I've seen a variation like that before, and that's what really caught me off guard. And I love having the 3-point. It is symmetrical out the wazoo, and I love it. Symmetrical in the sense of the quantity of numbers on each side. I'm not saying like these are, that's not, they're not in the same row. Do I think that's what is supposed to happen? Possibly, but honestly, this looks freaking great having the multi-tiered, but they're pretty symmetrical on these sides, meshing through, having your center point. It's just really nice having the numbers symmetrical in quantity on both sides. I love that. Melting down, still having your next feature pop up next to one feature that's still involved. They all come up, walk around. This right here, boom. So they use the elbow. They drop, use the elbow to come up. I almost popped my glasses off, bless it. And then they come. Now what makes that so captivating is not the fact that they're in unison, but it's each individual line is going in opposite directions and they're all hitting it with the same level of performance and intention. And that is exactly what you want. And they bit it and then they threw it away as they dropped their whole body down. That is sick. Love it. That meltdown was cool. All the way from the inside out. Look at the air time he has. It is almost like where they're down is where he is up. And that's what makes that so impactful. And then as he drops down, throws it down, they all come up. He still engages in the feature, drops it forward. Really nice to see everybody super symmetrical, really using the energy, having one person using his hands to help mimic or engage with those knees and those legs. They're going up on their toes. But what makes that really captivating is when my center is just using his wrists. That means they can only use their feet. They can't use their whole body to move because the isolation needs to look like he's controlling the ankles. And so that's why they have to be very stable in that upper body, which is really hard to do on a stability sense when you're tired. Very impressive to do that section there. Pulling through right here. The best part of the whole thing for them. They're literally walking, enjoying their time. This is more of a simpler groove. This is probably the section where it's like, we got to make it to the end because this is a lot of energy that they've had to expend to do this. It's polyrhythmic in the dynamics as well as in the transitions. That's where most of your focal point is on this one, which is why it looks so crazy compared to the unison-esque that we've seen from other tracks that they've done on their choreography videos. This looks really cool because of the turnaround time of their texture shifts as well as their actual formations and transitioning from point A to point B is freaking sick on the time that it takes for them to coordinate their traffic patterns to get them to where they need to go. So I think this is more of a breather ending for them compared to what we just saw. I love that. It's cool how they pop off, they move over, still use their chest to get the transition, but it's not as much energy as using their chest like they were earlier. They're here having a moment, using the head, relaxing, fully engaging in the position, allowing everybody having this slight groove that's happening here with the breath, even though a lot of them are probably feeling that. I would be, but they're kind of vibing through it. All of them are doing it, so it helps mask those who actually feel that way, which I love having your next feature come up. Low-key, this is a whole fit. I want to own it, but I don't really own a lot of green, which may be why I want it. I would normally wear something more like black and white, as you guys have seen, but honestly, I think this is a great fit that he has. And he goes and just doing a chest bop on that is super dope. Finishing up in the corner. That right there, boom. Just only having a select few actually engage and they finish up. So they're the only ones that actually move their hands down. Everybody else keeps them up. Goodness, they are so freaking tired on that, but that was insanely cool. Definitely, I'm gonna be seeing probably around 50 of their routines, I think, is what my playlist shows. Could it be actually 50? I would say it's in the 40s, I think. Safely in the 40s. That one's probably going to be in the top half, I think, out of all of them. And there's a chance that I may do like a final, what are my top 10 choreos and why? We'll see. But at this point, I'm just trying to enjoy the ride. This is just killing it. I love it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that was helpful in some way. If you want to see more 17 reactions or K-pop reactions in general, I have a ton of them on YouTube as well as on Patreon. If you're seeing this video on YouTube, really good chance that I have the entire catalog of 17 already reacted to because I only release these videos as comebacks take place. That's to allow exclusive content as well as some fun extra reactions to comebacks that take place with idol groups. So there's a good chance that there's probably around 30, maybe 25, 30 reactions of 17 that are not on YouTube yet. if this one was just recently released there. If you're on Patreon watching this, what's up? You know what's good. And I cannot wait to continue on this marathon. It has been a wild ride so far, and I know that it is not over. I feel like we're just kind of depends on what part of the heartbeat we're vibing on the concepts, and that's what makes it so fun for me, is I don't know what to expect on their discography because there's only a couple songs I know from them, and it just makes it so enjoyable for the discussions as well as just getting to analyze them in this way. So I'm Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.